10 seconds, take a knee. You know, that's dangerous, though. He's going to snap, punt it. The block is on, and they didn't get it. And did they get the punter? Here is Bratton to the 30-yard line. He needs all kinds of blocks. There's one. 40-yard line.
40.
He's at the 50.
To the 40. Case out his feet.
And the clock is
running. Oh, my goodness. To the 40.
Is it going to be a touchdown?
Touchdown! Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness. Holy cow.
Oh, my goodness. The Cavs have won. The Cavs have won. Oh, my goodness.
I don't know how. I don't know what happened.
Ladies and gentlemen, and the Cavs are rushing the field. They've won the Southwest Virginia Bowl.
Joining us, a UVA-wise legend, Marcus Bratton. Marcus, man, it's hard to believe it's been 10 years since the play, September 17th, 2011. We'll flash back here. You had a tremendous career here for us, over 100 tackles. You still hold the school record for most punt return yards, kick return yards, top 10 and interceptions. But the play that sticks out in everybody's mind is the play with Emory and Henry. So before we get into the play, talk a little bit about the build up to that game. You know, I'm from far Southwest Virginia. You're from Roanoke. Did you know anything really about the UVA-wise Emory and Henry rivalry before that game?
No, I didn't. But before that, I don't think anyone really knew.
So you go into that game week. It's labeled the Southwest Virginia Bowl. Not knowing much about it, were you and your teammates kind of in shock with the amount of people from Southwest Virginia that were at that game?
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be anything like this, like that. We were in awe. We were like, wow, what's going on? Like everyone was standing up along the fences, and it was kind of crazy.
So we get rolling. From what I remember about the game, Stuart Robertson, he has a pretty big game offensively for us. Yeah. We get out in front early. They come back, and they had quite a few yards of offense in that game, but our defense kind of bowed its back at times. Talk about that, kind of what you remember, some of the big stops we had in the red zone in that game.
Yeah, I remember Amandre Johnson, 36. He was a middle linebacker. He was making plays all over the field. It was tough. I mean, I think we kind of, took them for granted at the beginning. I think because they were not like Division II or NAIA as well, just Division III. So we were like, this should be a cakewalk. But they came on swinging, and luckily our defense did have as many stops as we did because Stewart, like you said, he was going crazy out there.
All right, fourth quarter, we're coming back. Turn the ball over, interception. Looks like Emory and Henry is going to run the clock out. Defense comes up with another huge stop. What's the talk on the sideline there? Because I'm thinking we're going to go all out, try to block this punt. I mean, that's what I'm thinking in the press box. And if we don't get it, I'm thinking Marcus is probably going to fair catch it so we can try to throw a Hail Mary. Walk me through that and what the talk was, because we're trailing there 30-27 with 12 seconds to go.
So Coach Jahan was his special teams coordinator, and we had a brief little huddle with the punt return with the defense, and he was saying, okay, we're going to try to block it, but if we don't block it, Bratton, just catch it, get upfield, get out of bounds, leave us at least a second to kick a field goal.
All right, so we go for the block, and it's the controversy of all controversies with people in Southwest Virginia. From memory, they say it was roughing the punter. We're wise guys. It was not roughing the punter. Ball's off. You get it, and immediately you get a tremendous block that springs you free and gives you a lane and an alley to the sideline.
Shaheem Harris threw a great block. He threw a great block there. And then as I was up the sideline, I took a peek at the clock. I saw 2 seconds. And I figured, I was like, it's no point in stepping out of bounds because I'm nowhere near close enough for field goal range. Then I just dart across field, and the guy takes my legs. Then wasn't rehearsed or anything. I just glanced, saw Josh Wright, and just pitched it back as far as I could.
And Josh gets it in stride. runs in the end zone, and pandemonium ensues. Talk about that. I mean, you played on a state championship basketball team in high school, right? I mean, this has to be the wildest thing you've ever experienced in sports.
Yeah, it was nothing like it. I can't even express how everyone was feeling. I couldn't. It was surreal. I couldn't even believe it at the time. I was in shock. I was like, "What just happened?" Like, my body was running towards Josh as he was running, but my mind was just like, "No, this is not real. This is not happening." It was insane.
Everything then goes crazy. I mean, the video goes viral. It's on ESPN the next morning. It's CBS Sports Play of the Year. I mean, it's on YouTube. It's been viewed almost 500,000 times now in the last 10 years. As you've gotten older now, what's that play meant for you to look back on with your teammates and kind of just to be a part of something like that? Arguably the greatest play in UVA sports history.
I never really look at it like the greatest play, but I mean, I'm honored that some people feel like that, but it's just something that I would never forget. And I can always like kind of brag about it. Like, yeah, go to YouTube, man. We got Player of the Year, just talk a little bit about it. But other than that, it was just something iconic for me.
Joining us, former special teams coordinator and defensive coordinator for the Cavaliers, Justin Hamilton. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Double D. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Coach, it's hard to believe it's been 10 years, man, since the UVA-wise Emory and Henry game. Play goes viral. We're reliving it a little bit down here, so we thought it'd be great to catch up with you and kind of see how that day went through your eyes.
Well, it was actually my 29th birthday, so coming up on 40 now, which is not good to think about. But all week long, all I could really think about was Dewey Lusk, trying to get him that win against Emory and Henry. And just showed the play to our defensive staff over here so they would know what was going on. And, going into that game, we felt good about the game plan we had on defense and felt good about being able to get some stops. And in the first half, we played terrible on defense. And like I go in at halftime and I'm ready to break clipboards and slam erasers and markers and all that stuff. And John Cusco actually and Mike Rhodes, they kind of got me level-headed and calmed down. They were like, the game plan is good. It's fine. Don't deviate from it. Just make sure we go back over it quickly. They're good on it. Then we came out in the second half and we played well on defense. And at that point, it's like, man, I wish that we would have played better in the first half because we wouldn't be in this situation. And then now when it's 12 seconds on the clock and we use our last timeout on third down, I'm going through all the different scenarios that could happen. First year as a coach. And I'm sitting there saying Marcus Bratton is the one guy on either side of the field that could win a game by himself. And there's no way they're going to punt the ball to him. So, like, we either got to block this thing, we got to get the punter tackled if they try to take a safety, or if he catches it, we got to get it to where the offense has a chance to run a play and get a field goal or something. And then when the ball gets snapped and punted, first of all, we could jump the shield at the time, so I wasn't worried about that. But when I saw us hit the punter, I got a little bit nervous. And then when I saw the punt, it was like, had to be the best punt of that kid's life. And it lands straight in Bratton's hands. And it's like, all right, well, the best player on either side of the field has the ball in his hands. Like, I guess this is the way we got to go out. And then he starts to run, and I'm thinking, man, he might break. Like, he might take this thing to the house. And then I see the kid from Emory clip him a little bit, and he's starting to go down. And I'm actually about to take my headset off. And out of the corner of my eye, I see the ball flying in the air, and I'm like, what is happening? And then it was just absolute pandemonium. So that's where from start to finish, that's what it was for me.
So we're going to confirm here, you did not draw that play up. This was not the greatest play call in your life to draw that play up on special teams.
I would absolutely love to take credit for that, but I can't at all. I said, hey, everybody go block this punt, and if the best player on the field catches it, but either try to get down so the offense has time to do something with it. There was not a coaching work of wizardry in that one.
And you played at Virginia Tech, but you're a Southwest Virginia guy, deep in Southwest Virginia, so you kind of know a little bit about the Emory UVA-wise rivalry. Talk a little bit about what it was that night just the amount of people that were there for at that time, an NAIA Division III football game. I mean, it was almost like it was, similar to a 1AA game, FCS.
Yeah, I mean, for me, in 2010, when we went over to Emory, I was the strength coach and I was just volunteering. I realized, like, when people make a big deal out of this game, I didn't really know a lot about it. But when I saw that, I'm thinking, like, this is okay. I see what the fuss is about now. And then that game, home game for us, and then the stadium, which we usually had a good home crowd for most of our games. But then when it was like the other side, people all over the hills, people standing around the fence, and it was an awesome night too. It was great weather. That was it was a really cool experience. I could totally see how all of Southwest Virginia comes together in that deal. But again, like for me, obviously coming out on the right side of that makes you smile and talk positively about it. But it was really a big time atmosphere, big time college football game for even small level football. But then the fact that play won the Geico National Play of the Year, like that to me says that everybody saw this thing.
Coach, you've been at every level. Have you been associated with any other type of play that's been like that, or an ending to a game like that at any level?
No, I mean, no. The only thing that's close, unfortunately, was us last year against Liberty, where we block a field goal, return it for a touchdown. There was a timeout right before. And then the chaos that ensued with that, like so many different variables. But to have a game end in that fashion on a walk-off touchdown, like I've been a part of some wild things, but I don't know if that'll ever be duplicated.
Coach, I appreciate your time. Good luck this season with the Hokies, and stay in touch, stay healthy, and I hope you're doing well.
Will do. Good luck to the Cavs down there, and appreciate it, Double D.
Thanks, man. Joining us, the voice of the Cavaliers, Steve Curran. Steve, it's hard to believe it's been 10 years, but we're on the 10-year anniversary of what I would have to say is the wildest football game or sporting event you've ever called, in any sport for that matter, the Emory and Henry game. I guess we'll just start with that day in general. A lot of people don't know this. That's also the same day the Pryor Center opened.
Right. The day began, I was still teaching full-time here at Chilhowee High School, and I went that morning, 8 or 9 o'clock, to the science department building up there on the hill, and went to the Southwest Virginia Council of Teachers and Math meeting for about 3 hours. Then we decided we would open the Pryor Center that day with a volleyball match. And I've watched volleyball, never have done one. I did the first ever play-by-play of a volleyball match, first event ever at the Pryor Center. And what a beautiful building it was, and quite a facility, just great to be a part of that. And then killed some time. Then we got the Emory Henry game, and I remember the first time they played at Wise, they played it in the now old J.J. Kelly High School. So that's been a long time ago. So it's a 4-game, this is the final fourth game of a 4-game series. And because of what happened, their coach said we never play again, but little we know that down the road we'll be joining conference pretty soon. But that was a long day, became longer. And then the game was a heck of a game to watch, back and forth. And it brought a tremendous crowd, which is Emory and UVA-wise should play. It's a great crowd. It's a great atmosphere for this part of the state. And I guess we can go right to the end there. They were 4th down and 18. They're on their own 22. They led 27-24. They lined up for a punt. I'm thinking, okay, you're up by 3. Of course, hindsight's 20/20. You went out of the end zone, take a safety, and kick a little easier kick from the 20 or 30, whatever it may be. They didn't. They kicked it in the air. Marcus Bratton stood back on his 25. He fields the ball at the 27. I remember saying, here's Bratton. He needs a ton of blocking. He got quite a bit of blocking. He went to his right, to our side of the field. He got across the 30, 35, 40, midfield, 45. All of a sudden, I thought he got tackled. I saw him go to the ground, and lo and behold, Jason Grace, my tag team partner at the time, took over because I thought Marcus was tackled. We lost again, and all of a sudden he pitches the ball, and at about the 35-yard line, Marcus run 38 yards. And then he pitched the ball to number 40. He runs in for a touchdown, and Jason's going crazy. I'm going crazy. You're going crazy. You're beating on the windows of the Emory Henry broadcast crew. I remember that. And first of all, when the punt happened, the punter fell down. We may have run into him. It could have been roughing a kick or whatever it may have been. There were several blocks there. Could have been questionable. And we ran the ball in. I kept waiting for a flag. It's okay. You got to be a yellow flag here somewhere. No yellow flag. Off the field we go. The officials off the field.
They're screaming, hollering, flag, 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 flag. We're jumping up and down. The guy with the crutches out there. What an event. We won the game 30-27. Had they took a safety, it'd been 27-26. And they may have punted and then wouldn't have to worry about a possible block. Much better, deeper kick. Didn't happen. But I remember we stayed on the air for quite a long time. Remember Coach Sabo and Coach Robinson from the high school were up there in the same press box. A little I know that as that night ended up, 10 o'clock, we're leaving there, going home, everything. The next day it's on Sports Center. I guess you had took control and got a hold of ESPN. It had made Sports Center. And eventually it got on to be the top 10 plays of the year on CBS's Geico Play of the Year around Thanksgiving weekend. Lo and behold, everybody's sitting around here watching. He says, of course, I already knew we'd won the play. I couldn't tell them because you told me about a week before. And then everybody, oh, what do you think? What do you think? I said, well, we got a chance. Little I knew we'd won it. It was so funny knowing something you had to kind of hold inside of you. But I know it was just such a great newspaper. Tim Hayes wrote an article about myself and Jason covering that play and everything. Just a great day. 10 years, hard to believe. And I know the two guys involved in that play, they're probably in their 30s now, careers going on, everything. So hats off to making UVA something special that day. And well, I guess the biggest thing would be Emory Henry. That's always fun. You beat the Wasp.
Well, I'll ask you this, Steve. You graduated from Clinch Valley College, UVA-wise. You live now on I-81. Most people from Southwest Virginia, my age and older, generally speaking, if they went to school, if they went to a small college, they went to CVC, UVA-wise, they went to Emory and Henry. And a lot of people not from this area don't realize that and that rivalry. How was it for you being a CVC UVA-wise guy, living really more toward the Emory side of Southwest Virginia, kind of getting to rub that in some people's faces, I would assume?
Well, as this story unfolds, I had a student teacher working with me as a math teacher at Chilhowie High School. And most of the student teachers around here come from, guess where? Emory and Henry. So I had a teacher who was working with me from Emory and Henry. And on Mondays, they had what they call the student mentor teacher workshop. I was the mentor teacher. The girl was the student teacher. She said, you need to come down to college on today. This is the Monday after, 2 days later. And I said, oh my gosh, really? I said, well, I put a UVA-wise stuff on. I had a shirt and tie. I went down there. I said, oh my gosh, I walk on this campus 2 days after what happened here. What are these people going to think? And of course, they didn't know who I was from Adam. And I went to that meeting. I just sat there and listened, and the thing got over and I left. I thought, nothing happened because nobody in there was on the football team. The student teachers there were all mostly girls or anything, but it was fun to walk on that campus 2 days after that event happened. Now, years ago, before I started doing this, you could find me most time going to the Emory Henry football game on Saturday because it's just 10 miles down the road from me. That's a nice atmosphere. They support the team well. It's a nice college. Like all colleges are nice, but yeah, it's different being right now down the road from Emory and Henry. And now we'll start playing them on a regular basis in the same conference. I got a lot of friends that go to Emory Henry or went there, and they're saying, boy, this is going to be rough going to SAC. I said, well, we're still feeling it. So jump on the bandwagon and come join us. But it's going to be great to have them on our conference, playing them more twice a year. Every year now in all sports. It's going to be a lot of fun. And those two schools should be playing. I remember Coach Montgomery, who was coaching that staff. He said, we're not going to play them again. That was they robbed us. I said, well, you're the one that kicked the ball. I thought you're the one that did that. You could have done a lot of things differently, but I thought the last thing they would do was kick the ball, and they did, and we ran it back, got a touchdown, won the game. Chance that happened, they were unbelievable odds, but it happened. That one chance happened in that day 10 years ago this week.
Steve, you get all this media attention. The kids get all this media attention. I mean, you're reached out. You and Jason are talked about on ESPN. You mentioned Tim Hayes doing stories. People reach out to you. Have you ever been involved with anything like that at any point? I mean, you've been broadcasting off and on since you were a student at CVC.
Right.
How was it for you as a broadcaster? You're used to being the one that interviews or tells people what's going on. People wanting to interview you.
Yeah, that was different. And, you can never prepare yourself for something like that. You can't practice. So I remember Jason, let's practice. How do you practice? You just sit there and talk. How do you know something like that's coming? You have no idea. And I'm thinking, when that ball was kicked, I said, well, Bratton fields it. He needs a ton of blocking. And that was a good start. And he did. He got tons of blocking and he ran it back. And something like that. And I remember News Channel 11 Kenny Hawkins had it on there. It says, watch this, guys, but listen to these guys talking, which is what it sounds like. So, it did sound like, Jason going wild. I'm sitting there going, you got to be kidding me. You can't prepare for something like that. It's like the kid running the ball back. What's the chance of him standing there, catching the ball and running for a touchdown? It's just bizarre. And it was fun. And, it's something that you might see once in your lifetime, and I've already seen it. It was a great experience. And it's hard to believe it's been 10 years, but I remember I watched this a few minutes ago before we talked this interview here, and it's still fun to watch.